Hi, this is Jeff Curto, and welcome to episode number 33 and a third of Camera Position, the podcast about the creative side of photography. This particular episode is going to be quite short, and the reason for that is I'm really just doing this episode to talk very briefly about my being the guest host this week on Chris Marquardt's Tips from the Top Floor. I know that probably many of you are familiar with this podcast because it's one of the most popular photo-related podcasts out there, and Chris is one of the founding members of the Photocast Network. And for those of you who are listeners to Camera Position but have not taken a listen to Tips from the Top Floor, it is a podcast that is very much more about the technical side of photography than Camera Position is, and that's one of the reasons that there are so many great podcasts out there. Everybody's got a different take on what it is that they're doing. But Chris is away this week, and I have been asked to guest host, and that episode just went up live this evening. So I am taking this opportunity to let you know about what we'll talk about over there at Tips from the Top Floor. And my concept is to talk a little bit about color and the psychology of color, the ideas behind things like he was so angry he was seeing red, or the calming effects of blue and the relationship of the calming effects of blue to perhaps even our ancient African ancestors who were lulled by the blue horizon on the savannah. So the idea is to talk about color and the psychology of color, and then also briefly to talk about color management and using Adobe Photoshop to do some color management. So for those of you who are looking for some additional content that really isn't the sort of thing that I would typically do on Camera Position, and I was delighted to be asked to be part of Chris Marquardt's Tips from the Top Floor, head over to tipsfromthetopfloor.com, and I'll put a link to that on the Camera Position blog for this posting, and take a look at episode number 154 of Tips from the Top Floor, which is my guest hosting of that show, and take a look at what we've got over there. So thanks for listening. I'll be back with you again in a few days for a more complete Camera Position, but I did want you to be aware of this wonderful opportunity to check out Chris's website and his podcast and hear some additional content from me over on that particular site. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time on Camera Position, a podcast about the creative side of photography.
PhotocastNetwork.com, your photography resource in the podosphere. PhotocastNetwork.com